What does the water rushing in this stream, the colorful leaves on this tree, the feathers on these geese, and the rocks on this mountain have in common? They are all made of matter. Even though all these things are made of matter, they are very different from one another. During the next few minutes, we are going to explore what makes many types of matter different from one another. We are also going to take a closer look at what makes up matter. Let's take a piece of aluminum foil. Tear the piece of aluminum in half. Take one of the halves and tear it in half again. Keep tearing the piece of foil in half until you get the smallest possible piece. How small do you think you could make the piece of foil? Believe it or not, it is possible. By using special tools, one can make the absolute smallest piece of the aluminum or any other matter. It is called an atom. All matter is made up of atoms. An atom is the smallest possible particle of complete matter. If you were able to magnify an atom thousands of times its size, it would look something like this. Different types of matter are made up of different types and combinations of atoms. Let's look at some examples. What do you think the following types of matter have in common? The helium gas filling this balloon, the aluminum in this can, and the copper in these pipes. All these things contain elements. An element is a substance made up of only one kind of matter. Or, another way of saying this is that an element is made up of one kind of atom. For example, this piece of copper wire is made up of millions of copper atoms that look like this. This is a single atom of copper. As you can see, this copper atom is made up of many other smaller particles. There are over 100 kinds of known elements, with many yet to be discovered by scientists. These elements are organized in a chart like this one. It is called the modern periodic table. The modern periodic table contains all known elements and a lot of information about the elements. What symbol would you use for the number of apples shown here? That's right, you would use the number 3, or the word 3. What about these 5 nails? What symbol would you use to represent them? That's right, you would use the words to symbolize the nails. In this case, you would use the words 5 nails. Over many years, scientists have developed symbols for the elements. A chemical symbol is 1 or 2 letters that are used to represent the name of an element. You might already know some chemical symbols. For example, oxygen, the gas that fuels fire, is symbolized by the letter O. Hydrogen, a gas found in the air, is symbolized by the letter H. And the gold found in this ring is symbolized by a capital A and a small letter U. What do you think is the advantage of using chemical symbols? Most people agree that it is easier to write 1 or 2 letters instead of the whole word. Writing just the chemical symbol also saves space. Sometimes in nature, matter exists as a pure substance. as in the case of this brightly colored sulfur. But more often, elements combine with other elements to form substances. For example, the major ingredient in these glass windows is a compound made of silicon and oxygen. A compound is matter made up of two or more different elements. In a compound, different elements combine to form a new substance. You use compounds every day, even though you may not realize it. When you brush your teeth, you are using the compound water. Water is a common substance on Earth made of two common elements, hydrogen and oxygen. The element oxygen is common in the air we breathe, and the element hydrogen is also in the air we breathe. Hydrogen and oxygen combine to form water. Another example of a compound is a substance you and most animals breathe out. This is carbon dioxide. It is made up of the elements carbon and oxygen. All of these examples of compounds are fairly simple. We also come in contact with many complex compounds. Some of the foods we eat, such as this pasta, are made of many elements. And plants, such as these flowering shrubs, contain compounds made up of dozens of different elements. This white substance is commonly used to enhance the flavor of food. Many animals, like these horses, also need this substance in their diet. It is also used on roads to melt ice. Any idea what it is? That's right. It is salt. Salt is a compound. Do you know what elements make up the compound? The compound salt is made of the elements sodium and chlorine, as seen here. A simple grain of salt contains millions of molecules of chlorine and sodium. This is a close-up image of salt. How small do you think you could make these grains of salt and still have salt? It is possible to have a tiny piece of salt that is made of one atom of sodium and one atom of chlorine. A molecule of salt is the smallest piece of matter that still has the properties of the original matter. For example, salt is made of a single atom of sodium and a single atom of chlorine, as seen here. These two atoms join to form a single molecule of salt. If we were to break the molecule apart, we would not have salt, but two separate atoms. This water can also be broken down into a simple molecule of water. As we already mentioned, water is made of the elements hydrogen and oxygen. But a molecule of water is a little different in that it must have two atoms of hydrogen for every one atom of oxygen. If we were to take away one of the hydrogen atoms, we would not have water, but a compound called hydrogen peroxide. You may be familiar with hydrogen peroxide, a substance used to kill germs. We can use these letters or symbols to represent compounds in which two or more elements are combined to form a new substance. Let's go back to the substance salt, which contains sodium and chlorine. The symbol for the element sodium is Na, and the symbol for chlorine is Cl. We can combine the two groups of letters to form NaCl. This is the chemical symbol or formula for salt. A chemical formula is a group of symbols for a compound that show the kind and number of atoms. Water is made of the element oxygen, symbolized by the letter O, and two atoms of the element hydrogen, symbolized by the letter H. How do we show that there are two hydrogen atoms? We write the number 2 under the H. This tells us that there are two hydrogen atoms. We know that when a compound is made from two or more different elements, the new compound is different than the individual elements. But when the elements combine, they do not always form new compounds. For example, let's make vegetable soup. To create our soup, we will put in some carrots, some peas, some macaroni, some tomatoes, some potatoes, and some water. This vegetable soup is a mixture. A mixture is matter made up of two or more different substances. But the substances in the mixture do not change. In other words, this piece of tomato is still a tomato, and this pea is still a pea. Another example of a mixture are these different types of rocks mixed together. And the gases found in the air around us make up a mixture, but neither the rocks nor the gases form new compounds. A very common mixture, like this fruit drink, is called a solution. A solution is a mixture in which particles of different substances are mixed evenly. The fruit drink is a mixture of water, flavorings, and sugar. These are stirred so they are evenly mixed. In other words, all parts of the drink taste the same. Another example of a solution is seawater. It is an evenly mixed mixture of water, many different chemicals, and salt. During the past few minutes, we have had the opportunity to explore atoms, elements, and molecules. We have also seen how matter combines to form compounds and how we can symbolize this process. We are surrounded by matter. When you get a chance, think about what makes up matter. Fill in the correct word when you hear the tone. Good luck, and let's get started. 1. An is the smallest particle of matter. 2. An is a substance made up of one kind of atom. 3. A chemical is one or two letters used to represent an element. 4. A compound is made of or more different elements. 5. Water is a compound made of the elements hydrogen and 6. A is the smallest piece of matter that still has properties of the original matter. Seven. H2O is the chemical formula for eight. A is matter made of two or more different substances. 9. The substances in a mixture do not 10. The modern table is a chart containing all the known elements.